Welcome back to Taking the Tech Exam with WM7X. Today I want to spend just a couple of minutes talking about Ohm's law. It's a super useful thing to know, and it's also the key to answering 12 of the questions that might show up on your test. So let's jump in. Ohm's law just says that volts, amps, and ohms are all connected, and if you know any two of them, you can always figure out the third. And you don't have to remember a lot of formulas, you just need to remember this triangle. So let's say you need to know the voltage in a circuit. The triangle tells us that it's just amps times ohms. And speaking of amps, the triangle says it's volts over ohms. And same idea for ohms, it's just volts over amps. And that's all there is to it. And by the way, those are three of the questions that might show up on your exam right there. So having the triangle, you get those three answers. All right, so now let's look at a few concrete examples starting with voltage. Let's say you have 2 amps of current flowing through a 10 ohm resistor and you want to know the voltage. Well, we know from the triangle that volts is just amps times ohms, so we get 20 volts. And that's another one of the possible test questions. And here are a couple more. Just remember, if you're asked for voltage, it's always amps times ohms, just like the triangle shows. And speaking of amps, let's look at that. The triangle says it's volts over ohms. So if you're asked for the current through an 80 ohm resistor connected across 120 volts, you know it's just 120 divided by 80. Or 1.5 amps. Same thing for 240 volts and 24 ohms, or 200 volts and 100 ohms. It's always just volts over ohms, just like the triangle shows. And I'm sure you know what's coming for ohms. The triangle says it's volts over amps. So if you're asked about the resistance of a circuit with 12 volts and 1.5 amps, we know the answer is 8 ohms. Same idea for 90 volts and 3 amps, or 12 volts and 4 amps. It's always just volts over amps, just like in the triangle. And just like that, you know how to answer any just about Ohm's law. And now that you know the triangle, you can answer any of them. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you want more tips on how to join the hobby or upgrade your license, click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We'll see you in the next video.